Ooh, welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm your host, Sheil Kapadia. Today we are asking the simple question, are they good? Are they good as it pertains to three quarterbacks who are relevant this season? Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young, and Daniel Jones. They're all in the playoff mix, yet they're all kind of polarizing. Are we sure they're the reason for their team's success this year? Do we feel like they have high ceilings? What's it going to look like at the end of the year? We're going to talk about all of that with our new friend from the Ringer, Billy Gil. This one went in a bunch of different directions, was a lot of fun. Let's take a break. We come back and we talk about those three quarterbacks. This is the Ringer NFL show presented by FanDuel, the best place to bet the NFL all season long. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. And Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December 1st. Download the FanDuel.com/Ringer NFL to get started. Must be 21 plus and present in select states and 18 plus in DC, Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, we are back on the Ringer NFL show with Billy Gil. We're talking quarterbacks. Are they good? Is the basic premise. Billy, first of all, let me formally say welcome to the Ringer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being so welcoming, both on and off air, as I'm kind of like starting this new adventure here. It's exciting.
I heard you with Bill telling the story about the Tua jersey and the Chris Sims jersey, so everybody can go back and listen to that. But we were trying to decide, hey, what should we talk about today? And you guys were talking about some quarterbacks. You can watch a highlight reel of like 12 plays, and you're like, they look awesome. And then you watch a full game, and you're like, I don't think they're good at all. So we're trying to identify some of these guys where opinions vary. Are they good? Are they not good? And the guy who we felt like we have to talk about today is Trevor Lawrence. And all these guys are, relevant this season. They all have a chance to make the playoffs. They're all relevant here down the stretch. But Trevor Lawrence is a very polarizing quarterback, I feel, Billy. So where are you on, is he good? Is he not good? Where are we with this guy?
It's a good question. He's a mystery, and I feel like this is a good week to be doing, is he good, is he not good? Because next week is all about, Thanksgiving. What are we grateful for? What are we thankful for? And you kind of say like overly nice things about everyone, where now this is like the good time to maybe sneak in like the backhanded compliments or the, hey, is this person actually good at their job or not? And by next week, people will forget about it, and then we're not kind of being insensitive or inappropriate or whatever. So Trevor Lawrence, Here's the thing about Trevor Lawrence, as I've kind of like experienced it. I feel like this is not the first time we have this conversation with Trevor Lawrence. I feel like in his 5 seasons that he's been in the NFL, this is probably the 4th time that we've had this conversation about Trevor Lawrence.
I think that's right. It's ongoing. It's absolutely ongoing. And you're like, well, is it the coach? Is it the supporting cast? And he had the one good year in 2022 where you just felt like, hey, the arrow's pointing up. It's only going to go up from here. And it hasn't really gone up from there. So I am probably in the camp of, I don't think so. I wouldn't be like, I'm in on him. Like, let me give you his defense. I just feel like sometimes watching him, it feels like a blooper reel. You're younger than me, so I don't know if you remember, like it would be a baseball rain delay or something. You remember those, right?
Yeah, like This Week in Baseball would have like the bloopers. I remember there was like a famous one. Do you remember VHSs? I know I'm probably now sounding like very
I'm older
old.
than you. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the VHSs that you would get, and then like at the end of like the, Major League Baseball Productions VHS from like 1994 or whatever, they'd have like blooper reels, and it'd be like, oh, look, here's like a ball bouncing off someone's head, or here's, I remember one of my favorite bloopers was a grounds crew where they completely like messed up putting the tarp
100%.
out on the field.
Yes.
Then the air gets underneath it. Then they had to go back out to the outfield. They cover the outfield. The outfield's dried. By the time they finally cover the infield completely, it's a puddle. Then it stops raining. Oh, blooper reels. I miss them. That's what society is missing these days, is blooper reels, Sheil.
I agree. Not only do I remember those, if I went to my parents' house right now, they've still got the bookshelf with some of their son's old VHSs. And we definitely have some baseball bloopers on there. I'll take a picture next time I'm there and send it to you.
Well, do you remember also like when DVDs first came out? Like DVDs did not want to get rid of the blooper reels either. Like you'd have like the movies and then there was always like the extra section in the movies.
So exciting.
And then there was always like the extended scenes, the deleted scenes, and then there was like the bloopers. And you're like, oh man. Then you start wondering, like being a cynical person, like, is this actually a blooper? Or is this like they were just doing this to kind of fill out the
rehearsed
blooper reel?
Blooper. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm with you that we've all had those questions. And so Trevor Lawrence is the blooper reel quarterback. And I don't think he's doing it on purpose, where you just watch him. Even you watch him last week, they blow out the Chargers, but you watch that game, there's an interception. Like one of the last plays is like a 4th down. And he's like they're up by like 30 points or whatever it is. And he's like scrambling and tries to throw it. And they're like, fumble. No, it's incomplete. But there are too many of those plays with Trevor Lawrence, where I feel like he's even his best play of the season, again, not his best play, but his most memorable against the Chiefs. Like he literally tripped, picked up the ball, ran it into the end zone, and that could be the play that like puts them in the playoffs. So I guess that's my way of saying I don't really trust him. I don't think he's the most accurate quarterback. I think he's mistake prone. I know he still has the tools. I think there could be a year down the road where he's in a great situation and you say like, hey, his numbers look great. He's made the leap and we think about him differently. But right now I'm not, I think I'm a no on Trevor Lawrence.
What do we think it is about him though, right? Because he came in and he was supposed to be the next Andrew Luck, essentially, right? Which Andrew Luck, just obviously because of the injuries, his career ended earlier. And like he didn't live up to what everyone thought he would be just because of the fact that he couldn't stay healthy. But Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't exactly have those issues in terms of like why things aren't working. Like you can look at him and you could say he hasn't really had the weapons over the years. His best receivers have been, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley. And, now he has Brian Thomas Jr., but he doesn't have the best weapons, but he doesn't have the worst weapons. And like, if he's that guy, that generational talent that's supposed to take you to the next level, he should make some of these guys, Pro Bowl caliber receivers, I would think.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially this year. Liam Cohen is his coach. And last year, like Liam Cohen was great with Baker Mayfield. And this Jaguars offense is nowhere nearly as good as last year's Bucs offense. So I think he misses a lot of throws. That's backed up by the numbers. That's backed up by just watching him on a Sunday. And then I do think it's the negative plays. It's not necessarily sacks, but it's just like, what was he thinking there? Type things where everything feels chaotic with Trevor Lawrence, and you catch him on the right possession or the right quarter or the right game, and you're like, this guy's got it. But then you watch the full game. The one thing with Lawrence I can't get out of my head from this year. So they beat the Chiefs, if you remember that primetime game, big win for them. And it was his birthday. Do you remember that? Like the big thing was like, oh, what a nice win on his birthday. And they interviewed him afterwards, Billy, and they asked him like, all right, now you get to like go home and have some cake. And I actually looked this up on YouTube, but this was my pod prep today because I was like, did I remember that correctly? Because I remember that being weird, his response. And his response was, yeah, we've got a lot of cakes in the house, so there will be plenty to choose from. And I remember watching that at the time and rewatching it thinking, this is what an alien would say if they're trying to fit in and be like, yes, birthday celebration. A lot of cakes in the house, Bill. Am I the only one who we do one cake? He's doing a lot of cakes in the house? What's going on?
Yes, normal humans eat cake. I will be eating cake for my birthday. Do you think that do you remember a couple of years ago when Justin Herbert shaved his head and you said, you know what, this guy means business now? Do you think that maybe this is a situation? Because like as far back as I can remember, in Clemson, he had it. I think he came out of Cartersville, Georgia. He's like the pride of Cartersville. I'm assuming that his hair was long back then too. You don't just grow that wonderful hair. Do we think that maybe if he changes up his look a little bit, maybe his attitude, that this will change things for him?
This is our friend Danny Heifetz from the Ringer Fantasy. This is his theory. I mean, I've heard him say it a million times. I'm not fully there on board, but I would like to see it for content's sake. Just he shows up one day, short hair, buzz. Now, having all said this, we've been kind of, like you said, I do like this tradition. Let's make this a tradition, Billy. We talk every year, the week before Thanksgiving, and we're just kind of backhand complimenting some guys because I do think we have the start of something special here. They are in the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, they're 6-4. They've got the 4th easiest remaining schedule. They're minus 188 to make the playoffs. So it would require like some kind of choke job. I mean, they've got the Titans twice. They've got the Jets. If they win just those games, they've got 9 wins. If they win one more, they've got 10. And I think 10 gets you in the AFC. So maybe Trevor Lawrence goes on a heater here the rest of the way. We revisit this in January, February, and we do a mea culpa.
I think, well, hey, we'll see. If I were a betting man, I would say we will not be having that conversation at the end of the season. But maybe, I think the frustrating thing about him too, right, is that he's in the AFC South, which is such a winnable division for the years that he's been in there. Like, there's no reason that he can't go out there and dominate if he's actually, what we thought he was. And I think this probably might be our fault to a certain extent, where we just thought he was going to be so much better than he is. He's not bad. He's definitely a starting quarterback in the league. But when you come in and it's like, this is the next coming, this is the Messiah, this is going to be the next big thing, it's a hard standard to live up to. And he just hasn't at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Competent, it's kind of like if you were ever in a relationship or had a friend in a relationship where it's like, there's nothing wrong with the other person, they're not like cheating on them or doing anything egregious, but you're kind of like, I feel like they could do better, but until something happens, you're not going to move on there. So yeah, I think that's the category I would put Trevor Lawrence in. All right, let's get to the next guy, Billy. Next guy on our list, Bryce Young, who was awesome last week against the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like no one is acknowledging that the Panthers are 6-5. They're one game out of a playoff spot here in the NFC South. Yet you look at the odds, they're plus 370. So I would think that speaks to maybe a lack of belief from the betting public in Bryce Young. So Bryce Young now with Dave Canales, got the wide receiver McMillan this year. Is Bryce Young good? Where are you with Bryce Young?
Okay, so you mentioned Ted McMillan, which was a good move by them, obviously, because prior to this, his only weapon essentially was Adam Thielen, right? I have a soft spot for Bryce Young.
Me too.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why I want him to succeed. I feel like there was all the hype around him. And if we're going to be honest, and people may not remember this, but I'm sure you will remember this, what really had people starting to question him was before he was even drafted. And it was like Super Bowl week, the year that he was going to get drafted. And it wasn't anything that he did, and it wasn't anything that he said. It was simply a picture that came out on social media where he was just being a nice guy. And he took a picture with Mina Kimes. And a lot of people saw this picture with Mina Kimes and they said, oh my gosh, Bryce Young is tiny. He is not that big. I don't know that this guy should be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yes, I do remember that. And I think you're right. I think Mina has talked about that before. But when you said you had a soft spot, like when I was doing notes and prep, I have a soft spot too. And I was trying to think of why do I have a soft spot? So here are some of the one is a little guy. You always root for the little guy, right? So that's easy. He's like the underdog. Oh my gosh.
He can't control it.
Yeah, he can't control it. He didn't choose to be this small. So you got that. I think he's a handsome guy. There's something about nice smile, seems. And then here's what I actually think it is. Quarterbacks are among the weirdest people in professional sports. You cannot find a normal quarterback. I feel like Bryce Young has a chance to be a normal quarterback. Like if you were if your friend called you up and was like, hey, yeah, we're doing this, guys trip this weekend, Bryce Young's going to come along. I bet you would come back from that thing being like, man, Bryce, I'm such a Bryce Young fan. Whereas if you said that for almost any other quarterback, hey, this guy's coming, you'd be like, oh, God, that guy was terrible. So that's why I think you and I have a soft spot for Bryce Young.
You know who I think is the exception to that rule, just because like he's great, is I feel like Josh Allen is a normal guy. And I could be wrong about that. Ooh, wow. I don't know. You think it's a put on?
Okay. No, I do think he seems like he would be a nice guy. But come on, he's like so famous. He's married to an actress and he's like a freak show athlete. I think you have to have some dings on you to be a normal guy. Like he's living too high a life for me to come back and be like, oh, that, But I do agree with you. He knows how to at least, I feel like
present a normal guy.
As a normal guy.
Wow.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so we're going to put this now out there for the public to see. Josh Allen, fraud, according to you, is what you're saying. Just public fraud. He's not a nice guy. All that stuff he does with pediatric cancer, it's all a put on just to be accepted as a nice guy.
Nice guy, yes. Normal, I said. Remember, normal
fine.
versus nice.
Normal.
I actually think Darnold would be on my podium for normal guy quarterback.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. You don't think so?
Normal guy.
Seems like a likable guy.
Now, does it have to be a starter when we're talking about normal guys?
Yeah, I mean, come on, the backups. Their whole career is built on being normal.
Yeah. So you don't have like a Jay Cutler type as a normal guy.
Well, I would say I think I would come back with some stories going on the guys trip with Jay Cutler, but
I think that a trip with Jay Cutler involves stories that you can't or wouldn't want to repeat because you're like, I don't want to be implicated in any of what happened this past weekend.
I definitely not on a microphone. I would agree with that. That wouldn't be grounds for a podcast. So, all right. So Bryce Young, I say normal guy. We both say we're rooting for him.
Well, he also lost his job last year, right? Like they made the decision after they drafted him with the number 1 pick. You know what? We're moving on. And the solution to this problem is Andy Dalton, which is like rarely the solution to the problem at this stage in his career, right? And a lot of people wrote him off. They're like, you know what? This guy's career's over. He just couldn't get it done the first season. Second season, he was struggling. This guy's just not an NFL starter. And it seemed like that was it. If he wanted to get another starting gig, he was going to have to go and do like the Darnold route or the Baker route, where he's going to have to bounce around from team to team. He's going to have to put in his reps, hope that there was an opportunity with an injury. And then maybe 2 years down the road, he catches on somewhere. And then sure enough, Andy Dalton gets in a car accident, hurts his hand. He's right back out there. And he's having a great season. Well, by his standards, he's having a good season. He's having probably the best season that he's had so far. He had a career game. He broke Cam Newton's franchise passing records for the Panthers. Like, I'll tell you one thing. That's one thing they're never going to take away from him. Like it or not, right now, Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young is your career leader in single game passing yards.
That's great. And you know what? It was beautiful. That's why I can't quit him because of that game. I watched that game and I'm like, he's got it. He's accurate. He's moving in the pocket. And this isn't the best supporting cast aside from McMillan. So listen, if you look at it statistically, the chances of him being like an actual guy, like a top 10 guy, are very slim. I'm holding out hope that he's a guy where we say, hey, right situation, good offensive line, add a couple more wide receivers where he can at least have one of those seasons where you're like, Bryce Young's having a moment right now. So I think we're on board. We want to see it happen.
Can I ask you an etiquette question real quick? Because we mentioned Mina earlier.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with Mina last week, and I'm wondering what you do here. And the basis of the conversation, I'm friendly with Mina. I wouldn't say we're best friends or we text all the time or talk all the time. So I was talking to her because I was in Minnesota at Mall of America.
Yeah.
And Mina, on the show that I used to work for, when the Super Bowl was in Mall of America, we got her to do a number of things. And one of the things that we got her to do was go on the zip line at Mall of America and give us her game prediction while she was going down the zip line. And she, somewhat beknownst to us, but not completely unbeknownst to us, was terrified of heights and is not exact. I know you see Mina and you're probably like, that's a thrill seeker. Turns out not the case. So she was horrified at the idea of this situation, right? So she goes down the zip line at Mall of America. She gives us her Super Bowl prediction. And for whatever reason, that has always stuck out in my head, even though that Super Bowl was like in 2018 or 2019, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking around the Mall of America. I see the zip line. So I take a picture and I send it to her. She's like, oh, you're Mall of America? I was like, yeah, I'm here because I'm doing this thing for work. Zach Lowe's in town, so we're going to do this. And then she tells me, say hello to Zach Lowe for me. Now, here's the etiquette question that I have for you. How would you handle that situation? And I'll tell you how I handled the situation.
I am anti say hello to someone for me. Especially, I would imagine that she has Zach Lowe's contact information, right? So if she wants to say hello, check in on Zach Lowe, then I feel like she should do it directly. Now she's putting you in a tough spot. You just started at the Ringer.
Exactly,
I assume you're just getting to know Zach Lowe. You're trying to build a relationship on your own. And now it almost looks like you're trying to be a bit, my friend Mina Kime says hello. Now you're acting all hoity-toity. So yeah, I don't like that.
All hoity-toity, or I do what I just did with you, where like I wasn't even comfortable like speaking on our relationship, saying we were friends. So then I'm talking to Zach Lowe and I'm boring him with stories about malls and zip lines. And he's like, who the hell is this guy? So this is what I did when I was interacting with Zach Lowe. Because again, I'm new to the company. These are my first interactions with him. He's been very pleasant in the interactions that I've had. I did not mention it. And I felt like it was the right thing to do, not to come in and say, hey, Mina Kime says hello. Because it could, on the positive column, be a good icebreaker. Like, hey, we know some of the same people.
Right.
But I said, you know what? I'm not going to bother him with this. Because then he could also think the other way. Well, why hasn't Mina been talking to me? Where's Mina been? Why hasn't she reached out?
She can't say hello herself. Yeah,
exactly. And then it's like, wow, big shot Mina Kimes won't even talk to me anymore. We used to be closer than we are.
Yeah.
And now in something that was intended to be a nice gesture has now fractured a relationship. And I can't have that on my conscience.
And now you're involved because you were the middleman. Because you had agency there. If you would have read the situation properly, it doesn't get to that point. So I think you made the right call. By the way, Billy, Mina Kimes scheduled to be on the show this week. So we might have to, I don't know if it's a social breakout or what, but I am going to have to get her take on this situation.
I didn't tell her that I didn't say hello either. That's kind of where the conversation ended. I think I may have, and I could be wrong. I either did like a will do or like a thumbs up. And then the conversation ended right after that. So I kind of felt like, okay, now I don't have exactly the responsibility here to do it, but I have definitely not updated her on whether or not I did say hello to Zach Lowe. Now, here's another situation. She could be thinking, what if he did say hi to Zach Lowe? Why didn't Zach Lowe say hi back to me? And now, you know what? By Mina's, this was unfair what Mina did to me because now I'm in the middle of this relationship with them that I had no part in being.
Because the other thing would be, let's say you did tell us it's Zach Lowe, and then what's he going to say? Tell her I said hello?
Yeah.
Now who are you? You're their butler?
Like
you're
the old
you're their
school
stay
person
high butler?
Punching
not
the
your
lines, connecting people. What a phone operator? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no,
anyway,
I'm with you. Okay,
so Bryce Young, we're for Bryce Young.
We're rooting for Bryce Young. All right, let's take a break. We come back and we get to one more. This episode is brought to you by American Eagle. Gift, hooray! Give great jeans this holiday season with American Eagle. They have all the wish list worthy new arrivals for everyone on your list, including you. You'll find comfy, cozy sweaters, soft fleece, sweatshirts, hoodies, flannels, and a whole bunch more. Plus, you'll love their trending jeans, like the high-waisted stovepipe, original straight, boot cut, and so many more fits. They've got every style and everyone covered. You can check it all out at ae.com or just go to the store. All right, we're back on the Ringer NFL. Probably my favorite detour since we started doing the Ringer NFL show, quite honestly. That I was more engaged in that conversation than almost anything I've done here at the Ringer. All due respect to everything, of course, I've done here.
Take that, Nick Tice.
All right. Okay. All right, last guy here, Billy, is Daniel Jones. Okay, Daniel Jones. He's having a moment. You know, they got the Chiefs this weekend. You look at any statistic, Daniel Jones is up there. The Colts have the best offense in the NFL. But I do have to ask you, are we sure after this 10-game stretch that Daniel Jones is good? Where are you with Daniel Jones?
Okay, so for the audience, for you, for all of us involved, let's remember, this is our tradition now the week before Thanksgiving, where we can say not so nice things. Next week, we will say we're thankful for Daniel Jones. We'll talk about him as comeback player of the year, as potential MVP. Like, all of that can start next week. This week, I'm worried about him. I think, and I could be wrong, I think that this may be my Sam Darnold of the year candidate. And what I mean by that is, I mean that this could be the guy, like Sam Darnold last year, right around this time is when you started looking at Sam Darnold like, this is a totally different guy. They found something with him. It was coaching. It was just they didn't have the right system for him. Look what he can do with weapons. And then comes December, and then we started seeing the Sam Darnold of old. And then that carries into the playoffs. And now that's carried over to this year with Seattle. I'm worried that at some point with Daniel Jones, we're going to kind of hit that breaking point where we say, oh, this is kind of who Daniel Jones is. Because if you look at the games that they've won, obviously they have an incredible record. They've done great. But their wins so far this year, Dolphins, Broncos was an impressive win, granted. Broncos is pretty much the only impressive win that they had. And it was a 1-point win. It was early on. They had the Titans, they had the Raiders, they had the Cardinals, the Chargers, who we don't really know about the Chargers, the Titans, and the Falcons last week. Then the losses that they've had have been the Rams, and the Steelers is not a good loss if you're Daniel Jones. So I feel like this may be one of those situations where it's been a good start, but now the schedule starts getting tough for them because they have the Chiefs, they have the Texans twice, they have the Jaguars twice, which it could be good for them, right? The Jaguars twice. You have the Seahawks, the 49ers. It could be a situation where they get fat on some of these games and they have a great record, and then they get to the playoffs and kind of reality sets in.
So there are two things to build on what you said there. One is it's the hardest remaining schedule in the NFL. if you look at it. And just if you look at the opposing defenses, like the defenses Daniel Jones has to face, according to DVOA, hardest opposing schedule of defenses remaining for any team. So there is that chance that Daniel Jones turns into a pumpkin. And then there's some nerd stats. Are you familiar with this turnover-worthy play percentage, Billy? Does that get on like the group chats with your buddies, or do you like to have more of a fun time than talk about stuff like turnover-worthy play percentage?
Listen, I'm an aspiring smart person, okay? I'm not saying that I am. I'm not saying that my group chats like consist of that. I will say this. Every year I go and I buy my football almanac and I go through it and I take my notes and I start reading it. And I get lost very early on as to what it is that I'm reading. And then I realize, okay, once the season starts, like this is fun for the off season. And then like everything changes once there's injuries and everything starts playing. So I am open to smart football discourse, but I would not classify myself as a leader on that front.
Okay, I like that. Good honesty here. It's just basically counting. All right, if you throw a pass and the guy should have intercepted it, it's in his hands, but he drops it. Let's count that as a play that really could have been a turnover. That's all. Pro Football Focus does it. Daniel Jones is 28th in this category. So that would suggest that some of the bounces have been going their way. Things are going to get tougher here. And maybe he's not going to end the season on a high note. So I actually had this thought as I was prepping, and I looked at, all right, we're doing these quarterbacks. I thought, are Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones the same guy? Is that controversial?
Okay. I don't think that it is. And this is kind of where there's certain quarterbacks that are right around like this era of their career where there are a lot of similarities, right? So Daniel Jones famously got his big contract extension after one career playoff win, right? So he signs his 4-year, $160 million deal signed by Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen is still there, but he is not going to be there for very much longer, I wouldn't think. Brian Daboll has already been fired after they got rid of Daniel Jones, but he signs that after one playoff win, right? Who is someone that was in a very similar situation? Not someone we've talked about yet. Jordan Love is one that had the same situation where he basically was behind Aaron Rodgers. So like a lot of those first two seasons are mulligan years, right? Where he only started a couple games. He has that one season, that one playoff win. He signs that big extension. Then you start questioning, is Jordan Love the guy or not? Which we'll do maybe next year. We'll see how things are going. But Trevor Lawrence is another one who has one playoff win. Then he has a playoff loss. He signs the extension. It's not the very next season, but he signs the extension. There's a lot of similarities between the two of them. And granted, it's also like this is the time, in a player's career where you have to make a decision as to whether or not you're going to sign them or not. But they're not that dissimilar. And I feel bad. Because it's been such a turnaround for Daniel Jones. He's 8-2 this season. Last year, he was 2-8 when they decided to release him. So like, this is basically like the anniversary of Daniel Jones being freed from the Giants and then making his way over to Minnesota. Not ever, sniffing the field because he couldn't get past Sam Darnold, but there are similarities there. And I'm worried about Daniel Jones.
So there you go. We got through it. Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence. You know what? We're bagging the hurry up today because we were having too good of a time, too good a conversation. We don't need to do the closing segment, the hurry up today. We got through all those quarterbacks. It was a blast having Billy Gil on the Ringer NFL show, his debut on the show. Now we're going to have get him back for some of these follow-ups, see what Mina Kimes has to say. So we'll definitely have him back soon.
Tell Mina I say hi.
Oh, yeah, I will, of course. All right. Thank you to Christopher Sutton for producing, Kiera Givens on social, and additional production supervision by Conor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I'm Sheil Kapadia. We'll talk to you next time on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.